Hi guys, FA Cup. Let's talk about that. Arsenal beat Wigan, of course, in the FA Cup, 4-0. All first half goals. We saw some great performances for some of our not so first team players. Norgard had a fantastic game. It really gives me more confidence going into the rest of the season because we've got some very good players who are not getting a chance to play. Regardless, the fifth round is out. Arsenal have been drawn, and we are going to be going to Mansfield for the fifth round, which is great. It means that if we play our cards right and we don't get too experimental, we should qualify, and then we'll be going further ahead in the tournament than we have done for such a long time. The last time we went past the fourth round was when we won it a few years ago, so it's great. So these are the rest of the FA Cup draws. Let's do some let's dream up a bit. So Fulham, Southampton, I would be expecting Fulham to go through, but anything can happen. Southampton surprise, well, it wasn't much of a surprise. They beat Leicester City, who are, let's be honest, they're not exactly the most motivating team around, are they? And then Port Vale, Port Vale, Bristol City, do we know who qualified? Sunderland. Anyway, Sunderland should be going through whichever way. If Sunderland don't mess it up and start experimenting. And then Newcastle versus Manchester. This match, I'm not too worried about Manchester City not qualifying. I feel like Newcastle, if there's a game that they do not perform very well against, a team that they don't perform very well against is going to be Manchester City. The only thing that might cause an issue for Manchester City is they do not have a great squad depth, and they might feel they need to rest one or two of their half-decent players. To be fair, recently we all know the change that has happened at Manchester City. Them buying Gehi and Semenyo has revived them, and it's incredible because it only took those two changes to elevate them, to elevate their game, which I think is incredible. That is something a great team should be able to do, and I'm learning a lot from that, to be honest. And when you're analyzing and you're watching games for more than a bit of fun, it opens your eyes up a lot more, especially me, because I was just obsessed with what Arsenal were doing. But Manchester City, I personally think, should be able to go through very easily against Newcastle United because they have been off form, haven't they? Newcastle have really struggled to be convincing the last few months. Leeds United, one of my favorite teams in the league. Basically, we played them home and away. I know we beat them home and away, but I've watched them play Manchester City away. I've watched them play some other big games, and they have been a pain in the backside royally for anyone who they've faced, except Arsenal. For some reason, they do have like a blind spot when it comes to Arsenal, and they haven't been competitive. Otherwise, they're pretty good. Wolves are going to be playing Liverpool. Liverpool seem to have got their mojo back a little bit. They're recovering some of that thing that they've been missing. It's still not good enough to go anywhere in the league, but they've got the Champions League and they've got the FA Cup. And you know how Cup games are. They might still end up winning a trophy despite a dismal Premier League approach. Chelsea are going to be going to Wrexham. Now, Chelsea, another team with players that I like to watch, a manager that I want to see do well. For me, I don't mind, not at the expense of Arsenal, of course, but isn't it just nice to be able to analyze good teams and good players? I'm becoming a bit of a Chelsea hater, to be honest, because they're becoming very arrogant again. But it looks like Cucurella is out for a period of time due to injury. That benefits Arsenal because we are playing them in a few weeks, next week or the week after. So they might have an issue there because the coverage, is it Gusto who usually covers for Cucurella? Probably not as good, and Cucurella is absolutely awesome, in my opinion. He's a terrorist, and he can be so aggressive and foolish. But come on, who doesn't want some of that? You know what I mean? It's a bit like criticizing Tonali. You criticize him, but you wouldn't mind him in your team, would you? I wouldn't. West Ham United managed to squeak through, and they'll be facing Brentford, because actually I know Brentford beat Macclesfield 1-0 yesterday, so that will be the other game. But yeah, let's focus on Mansfield versus Arsenal. if we play the team that we played last time when we go to Mansfield, these games are going to be played that weekend of the 7th and the 8th of March, which is in about 3 weeks' time. If that's the team we're going to play, our second team looks like a strong team. When I did a little review on my last review for the FA Cup, I was talking about players that should start to play, and someone says, oh, that team is too strong for Wigan. And I thought, no, it is not too strong. This is our second string because I've literally stripped the whole team. You know, Ben White, who are you going to replace Ben White with? You know what I mean? You were Ben White, and then I think I thought Hincapie and Mosquera would start. It ended up being Saliba and Mosquera. And then we had Miles Lewis-Skelly. You know, it would have been nice if we could have seen Miles Lewis-Skelly in midfield. That's why I want to see him. He needs at least 2-3 games in there because I think that is what we need to unlock the rest of the season. When we get to April and things are getting crazy, that midfield, Zubimendi is knackered, Rice is going to burn out. We need to change it up a little bit in certain games where we need to be cleverer and more cynical. And Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think, is going to be the guy, the key. But he needs an opportunity. The great thing is he's ready. He doesn't care as long as he plays. In the midfield, we ended up having Eze. Who else? Norgard. Who else did we have in midfield? We ended up having Eze, Norgard. Let me check. He ended up being good anyway in the first half. Oh, and Saka. Saka ended up playing in that midfield because of an injury, and having Saka play number 10 was interesting. I don't think he was strong enough, but you know, it was the first game and unexpected. And that bouncing back he did with Eze and Martinelli, that was quite interesting. Jesus as well was there. I think that is definitely something that is going to be explored further down, especially with the lack of fitness for Odegaard. Lack of fitness of everybody else. The team is just in and out, isn't it? Noni Madueke again had an awesome game. You guys, you need to listen to me. The thing is, the agenda out there, before we bought Madueke, lots of people, some people even signed a stupid, what do you call those things, a petition, you know? I basically thought Madueke was good at Chelsea. I saw him play certain games. I think there was this game against Palace that I saw him play. Football, if you give, even Mbappe, at the end of the day, you give Mbappe, when he scores 4 goals for you, it's because he has had at least 10 opportunities in front of goal. Actually, probably about 7 for Mbappe because he's actually very prolific and lethal. Let's be honest. Madueke, he will make that run. He's not predictable. Sometimes the ball goes out. Of course, it goes out. The guy is thinking faster than he's running. He's running faster than he's thinking. The guy is just like in a vibe. He is very hardworking. That's what you need. He can create chances. The difference between him and Saka is consistent. I love Saka, of course. I love what he does, but very easy to defend against when you know what you're doing. Madueke, frustrating, but he'll get you those balls in the box, and by the time the defender is done with him, he is exhausted. Or before he's done with the defender, whatever the case, he had a great game. Jesus, not so great. Another game where if he came on, probably would have done better. Martinelli, of course. You know what? Me, Martinelli, Bezis, now. I understand him now. You know, sometimes you just have to know your people. I understand him now. That game against Brentford was very painful, where he missed, he basically made the wrong decision, probably should have chipped it or something. But those things happen. You know, those things happen. It's just a shame it cost us this time. And yeah, he knows. It doesn't matter how many times you defend him. He's gone home and he knows, it's like, oh, that's another fluff. He has messed it up. And Arteta knows as well. Arteta is going to be ruthless this summer. Honestly, he's going to be ruthless this summer. And if Martinelli stays at Arsenal, it's basically because he can't get anyone else. Already we are looking at that Spanish boy who plays with Lamine Yamal. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. He's already looking at him to try and replace him. But sometimes double up. I prefer Leo on that left anyway, whatever the case. Not because Martinelli is not as good as Leo. I think Martinelli is better, but better skills. But at the end of the day, Martinelli is a little bit of a liability, but he's so hardworking. And in the grand scheme of things, yeah, he is a cost benefit. He's not a liability. Let me not say that. He is a benefit, but you cannot rely on him. You cannot rely on him. Anyway, the game ended up being amazing. We won 4-0, and then we're into the next round and we'll see how we're going to do. Right, guys, thanks for joining me. That was my little FA Cup roundup for the 4th round. We're into the 5th, and then join me again in a bit for the Premier League roundup, because we, Arsenal, are going to be going to Wolves. Let's see what's going to happen, because we are only 3 points ahead of Manchester City, and we need to get that game moving. Guys, I'll be seeing you in a bit. Bye-bye.